Hello, welcome to my Tummy Whispers. Today we are going to prepare a simple vegetarian meal. Consists of rice with dal and 3 types of veggies, papads, some purpur and some rasam. And the first dish is going to be a French beans usli. First I take half cup of gram dal or Bengal gram dal, or they call it pottu kadale, and I soak it for 1 hour with 3 dried red chilies. Next, I rinse it and drain it, and I put in a food processor with some curry leaves and some hing powder and some salt. Salt and hing powder is just a small estimate. It's just about half teaspoon will be sufficient. And pulse it and grind it very crumbly. Please do not add any water because we are going to roast it dry afterwards. You can see the consistency is very crumbly, like breadcrumbs. I added 2 tablespoons of oil in a pot, and I added half teaspoon of mustard seed to it. And once it starts splattering, I added 1 small onion which has been diced very finely and gave it a good mix. Next, I added 1 cup of finely sliced green beans into the onions and gave it a good stir fry. Give it a good mix and add some salt to taste, and close the lid and place it under medium heat and let it cook in its own juices for about 2 minutes. In another clean saute pan, I added about 2 tablespoons of oil and a teaspoon of mustard seeds. Once the mustard seeds have splattered, add the dal mixture to the oil and give it a good stir. Make sure the heat is in medium because we slowly want to roast the dal till it is very crumbly and thoroughly cooked. Too much of heat will burn the dal and give you a very bitter taste. The slow roasting process of this dal mixture will give you a very nutty taste. It takes a little patience. Approximately about 3 minutes should be enough for the dal to turn to a nice golden color. Meanwhile, in the other saucepan, the French beans have been cooking. It should be 3/4 cooked by now. It's time to add the beans into the roasted dal mixture and give it a good stir fry. Maintain the heat in medium and let the dal flavor get infused into the beans. Give it a final taste and it is done, and you can dish it out onto a platter and serve. Next, we are going to make Radish Poriyal or Mullangi Poriyal. In a saucepan, I add little bit oil. See, approximately about 2 tablespoons of oil, and to that I added half teaspoon of mustard seeds, half teaspoon of urid dal or ulundu, and 1 teaspoon of chana dal or kadla parappu, and give it a mix. Once the dal has been roasted well, add 1 medium-sized onion which has been sliced to the oil and a few curry leaves. Give it a good stir and wait for the onions to turn translucent. Next, I added 2 slit green chilies to the onion mixture. Give it a good stir fry before we add the radish. Add half teaspoon of salt to the onions, followed by the finely diced white radish. The radish comes up to about 1 cup, and give it a good mix, and we will taste it later and add additional seasoning if required. Cover the veggies with a lid and let it cook in its own juices for about 2 minutes. Then add 1/4 cup of grated coconut and give it a good toss into the veggie. After a minute of frying the coconut into the veggie, it will be ready to be served. Dish it out into a bowl and serve the white radish poriyal or mullangi poriyal. Next, we are going to make a beetroot poriyal. In a saucepan, I added 2 tablespoons of oil and few small pieces of cinnamon stick, half teaspoon of mustard seeds, and half teaspoon of urid dal, and half teaspoon of fennel. I lightly knocked it in the mortar and pestle, and then I added it to the oil. Give it a good stir, and then I added 1 small onion which has been sliced thinly, and stir fry it under medium heat till the onions turn translucent. Add few curry leaves to the onions and give it a good stir. Maintain the heat in medium and let the onions turn translucent. Next, I added 1 medium-sized tomato which has been diced into the onion mixture. Keep stirring the onions and the tomatoes and close the lid for about 2 to 3 minutes and let the tomatoes disintegrate into the onion mixture. When I opened the lid, I realized the tomatoes have not disintegrated into the oil mixture. Not to worry, certain tomatoes give this problem. I just used the back of the spoon and mashed it down, and I added the 2 cups of diced beetroot into it and gave it a good stir. I added half teaspoon of fennel powder, half teaspoon of turmeric powder, and 1 level teaspoon of chili powder. If you do not like very spicy, you may wish to add only half teaspoon of chili powder. Because my other dishes are mild in spice, so I prefer a little spicy in the beetroot dish. So I added 1 level teaspoon of chili powder. To that I added some salt to taste and give it a good stir. And I will close the lid and place it under medium-low heat and let it cook in its own juices for about 2 to 3 minutes. After which, I will open the lid and give it one more stir and add about 1/3 cup of water and let it cook till it is dry and remove from the stove, and I shall serve the beetroot poriyal. While the dal is cooking in the pressure cooker, we'll prepare the spices to be sauteed for the Purpur Rasam or the dal rasam. I've taken 4 dried chilies, half teaspoon of mustard seeds, half teaspoon of urad dal, half teaspoon of cumin, and 1 teaspoon of chana dal, and few sprigs of curry leaves, and 1/4 teaspoon of hing powder or asafoetida. To a pot, I added 2 tablespoons of oil and the dried chilies and the seeds, and once the seeds started splattering, gave it a good mix. I also added half teaspoon of fenugreek to it. And some curry leaves and the hing powder. I also took a golf ball size of tamarind and extracted juice by adding 1 cup of hot water, and I kept aside. To the sauteed mixture, I added the pressure cooked dal and reduced the heat to medium and let it simmer. I added half teaspoon of turmeric powder and 1 rounded teaspoon of coriander powder. Next, I added 1 cup of the tamarind juice which has been extracted from the pulp, and I strain it and add it to the dal mixture. Reduce the heat to medium and let the dal simmer slowly for about 1 minute. After which, taste for any seasoning required and remove from the stove and add coriander leaves and serve. Our Purpur Rasam is ready to be served. I added a handful of coriander leaves. The rasam smells so good. Can't wait to try it later. I soaked 3/4 cup of tur dal for 6 hours. And I rinsed it and I placed it into a pressure cooker. Add enough water to cover it and added about 3 cloves of garlic roughly chopped. And 1 medium-sized tomato which has been roughly chopped too. I close the lid of the pressure cooker and I place it under medium-high heat, and I'll cook it for about 4 minutes or till my pressure meter rises to the top, and then I shall remove it from the stove. To a pot, I added 2 tablespoons of oil. I added 3 dried chilies, half teaspoon of mustard seeds, half teaspoon of cumin, and once the seeds have splattered, add a handful of finely sliced onions and some curry leaves. Saute it until the onions turns translucent. You will realize the dal in the pressure cooker has turned very mushy. With the help of the ladle, just mash up the little chunks of the tomatoes and let it disintegrate into the dal. Add half teaspoon of turmeric powder and the sauteed mixture into the dal and give it a good mix. Also add half teaspoon of hing powder and give it a good stir. Add some salt to taste. And finally a handful of chopped coriander, and dish it out and serve. The moment has come for us to serve a vegetarian thali. I placed a few spoonfuls of piping hot white rice, spoonful of white radish poriyal, and some beetroot poriyal and beans usuli, and generous spoonfuls of yummy dal, and few drizzles of homemade aromatic ghee, and a generous spoonful of mango pickle, and some papadums and colored puppets too. After the first round of dal and rice, you may wish to take a second helping of white rice and have a generous helping of rasam and savor it. I hope you like this vegetarian meal and do give it a try and enjoy. Till I see you in the next video, take care, bye.